We're back on the SportsMax Zone and we're still talking cricket. On stumps on day one of the second test between the West Indies and touring Sri Lanka, the wind is closed on 287 for 7 after they were sent into bat. Craig Brathwaite, who batted throughout the day, was left not out on 99 and Rakheem Cornwall on 43, the not out batsmen. And the pair have so far put on 65 for the 8th wicket. Right arm seamer Saranga Lakmal has been the pick of the Sri Lankan bowlers so far, claiming 3 for 71. Joining us now, regional and international cricket commentator and SportsMax analyst Fazeer Mohammed. Faz, well, the Sri Lankans won the toss today and decided to insert the West Indies. How would you rate the 287 for 7 stump score by the Caribbean side?
That would be a very satisfying position for Craig Brathwaite, especially because remember in that final session, it was 222 for 7. It could have been 230, 240 all out very, very quickly. But again, Rakheem Cornwall, here he goes again, showing his worth with the bat and again, trying to develop his reputation as an all-rounder for the West Indies. That partnership so far worth 65. So I think when you look at it, Lance, put into bat in early trouble in mid-afternoon as well, and then Brathwaite carrying it all the way through with that support. Zari Joseph a bit of support as well. Jason Holder getting 30 to be 287 for 7. I think the West Indies will feel, as Brathwaite suggested, maybe 2 wickets too many. But at the end of the day, if they were told before the start of the day there would be 287 for 7 put in by Sri Lanka, I suspect they would have taken it.
All right, before we continue assessing what happened on day one, were you first of all satisfied, Faz, with the fact that the West Indies named an unchanged 11 going into this match?
Satisfied in the context that it's obvious that the West Indies are trying to build on what happened in Bangladesh with generally the same squad of players. That doesn't mean ignoring the merits of others like a Darren Bravo and others. Of course, Jamal Warrican was part of the successful team in Bangladesh. But I think it's also giving players a fair opportunity. Someone like a Jermaine Blackwood, you could argue, is he running out of opportunities now? John Campbell, is he playing on borrowed time? So it's obvious that they are more likely to lean towards those players who've been involved with this run so far, but there comes a point where they'll have to decide. And that's why I think it's not entirely surprising that they went with an unchanged squad.
Rakheem Cornwall, he's on 43 not out. Of course, between the wickets with Craig Brathwaite. Let's talk about, how he has grown from strength to strength while we've been looking at him play these test matches.
Well, he has, and there's only one way to look at it, Mariah. You're talking about someone who's been ridiculed by individuals like myself for his size and his lack of mobility, saying that he wasn't worth being in a West Indies test team, and he's doing everything possible to prove me and so many others wrong. Yes, we'll continue to harp on his lack of mobility in running between the wickets and chasing after the ball and whatever, but if he's compensating for it with runs, with not necessarily wickets all the time, but tight spells, because he's got to develop his skills at the test level when it comes to being a quality spinner, because it's one thing to take wickets at domestic level. You've got to really step it up. The tougher teams you play, the better quality players you'll play. But then again, with the bat, 61 in the first test match, 43 not out here. There's really not much more you could ask for.
Definitely, Faz. And as we head into day 2, what will be an okay score for the West Indies, for them to feel comfortable that, they can win the second test?
Everything is contextual, Mariah. You could say, well, what, maybe 350, would that be enough? And then, Sri Lanka could very well get 475 again, and the West Indies would be in trouble. But I think minimum from this point, they'll be looking to 350. If they can, they've got runs on the board, something for their bowlers to bowl at. Maybe they could exploit something from the wicket if Shannon Gabriel really fires up this time around, because he was almost absent in the first test match. But as Brathwaite said as well, in reflecting on his innings and the state of the match, so much depends on what happens in that first hour. If they fail to get 300, Sri Lanka will feel that the momentum is back with them. So there's a lot that could happen in that first session.
One thing before you go, Faz, the manner of Craig Brathwaite's batting, very slow, measured, painstakingly acquired even. Not everyone likes his innings, but he's still there. As I've always said, you don't make runs where in the pavilion. Do you think he has batted too slowly, or do you believe that he is doing his job that is required for this test match?
Craig Brathwaite bats that way, Lance, and we've seen him for a long time at the highest level. And the fact is that with the additional responsibility of captaincy, he's responding to it. You said quite correctly, we may not find it attractive, but Test cricket is not always about the most attractive. It's about grit. It's about really battling it out. It's about being phlegmatic. It's about being determined, which aren't exactly sexy, attractive things that you're accustomed to in T20 and T10 cricket. But at the end of the day, when you see his contribution and when you see what the West Indies are able to get, what really matters is that overall perspective. As I said again, it's the long haul when we're talking about Test cricket, and sometimes that involves the sort of cricket that we may not describe as attractive, and that's why you need someone like a Craig Brathwaite.
Thank you very much, Faz. As usual, always great getting your perspective on cricket matters. Okay, so George, you mentioned at the top of the show that this, if he gets it, will be Craig Brathwaite's first 100 since July 2018, and his first 100 in about 19 or 20 Test matches. So it's long overdue. What's your assessment, George, of what happened today in Antigua?
Well, he batted sensibly. He played the conditions. He made his wicket very, very tough for the Sri Lankans to get, and it's still tough to get because he's still an elusive target. And I think that the intelligence he showed today, there are days when he shows a similar approach in terms of graft and an ability to and a stomach to fight, and he doesn't get the results. I think today he got the results, and the team are much better. Imagine what the final score would have been had that anchor role not been played by Craig Brathwaite today. And you mentioned the numbers dating back to his last century, that 110 against Bangladesh at Sabina Park, July 13, 2018. His last century was made 38 innings ago. And in those 38 innings, he's only before today passed 53 times. So he really, really needed some runs.
Yeah.
Definitely, Lance. And in his post-match interview, he spoke about playing the ball as late as possible. That was the strategy he used. And, just cashing in on the bad balls. So when he talks about it, he makes it sound easy. But of course, a lot of work went into that.
Yeah, Craig Brathwaite still there on 99 of 239 balls. And Rakheem Jimbo Cornwall batting splendidly so far. He's on 43 of 54 balls. Day 2 in the morning from Antigua. We go to break. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.